I apologize. It was not recording to the cloud. So let's go through the roll call really quick again. Vice Commissioner Romberger.
Here.
There we go. Commissioner Shaw.
Here.
Commissioner Harvey.
Here.
Commissioner Reddy. You're muted, Jeannie.
Sorry, here.
And Commissioner Riley.
Here.
And it is 6:02 p.m. that we started the meeting. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Yes. Should have my other pad, so I have the agenda in front of me.
If you want, I'll put it up on the screen.
That could help for right now. My other pad's up.
Okay, I'll go get it.
We'll make it work.
Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Great.
I guess our first item is petitions from the public. Doesn't sound like we had any this time.
I have not seen any petitions from the public, and we currently don't have any other audience members. Item number 3 is approval of minutes, and I'd like to suggest that we move that to the bottom of item 5 after the election of the chair and the vice chair. If that's acceptable to the commission, we'll go ahead and move item 5 to,
Yes.
sorry, item 3, which is approval of the minutes, to after item 5, election of the chair and vice chair. So I'm just going to jump in here, if you don't mind, Chuck, if you don't mind, Vice Chair Romberger.
Please.
We have 2 new commissioners,
Absolutely.
and they are Jeannie Reddy and Lori Riley, and they're here and participating this evening. I did have an opportunity to go through and do some training with both of them. So they're hopefully going to be quick in getting up to speed. This is a good meeting since it's a fairly light agenda. But I wanted to give Commissioner Reddy and Commissioner Riley an opportunity if they wanted to just take a minute and say anything.
I'll go ahead and start.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm excited to join you guys in doing our civic duty and supporting the town. And I'll do my best, and I'm gonna rely on the old school people to help guide me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Riley, would you like to say something?
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I really am looking forward to this. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. And like Jeannie, I'm hoping that have some good guidance because this is something new for me.
Great. Well, thank you very much and welcome. I look forward to working with both of you, all the commission, of course, but I look forward to working with you folks. Thank you very much. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Yes, so election of new chair and vice chair. Do we get nominations, or how do we handle this election?
So the typical process is we do a cage match like they do on TV, and the winner comes out alive. Or we could suggest we could do nominations, and oftentimes the vice chair becomes chair, but that's not necessarily a requirement. The only restriction is you cannot serve in the same position two consecutive time periods. So that's more than 2 consecutive time periods. So you could serve as vice chair again, Commissioner Romberger, or if you wanted to.
More than happy to be the vice chair.
And this is where you suggest somebody make a nomination of a chair.
And I nominate Lance.
I would second that nomination.
There's a motion and a second, and so now you call for discussion if there is any, and ask for. It's always good to ask for any other nominations as well.
Would anyone else like to nominate someone for chair and vice chair?
Well, I nominate Commissioner Romberger for vice chair.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll second.
They're actually a little muddy, but there are two motions on the floor, so maybe take them one at a time.
Either that, or can we combine them as one motion or?
Absolutely. If somebody wants to modify their motion, whoever made the first motion can, or if we don't have a motion, sorry, if somebody wants to make a motion to nominate both of those, we can do that at the same time.
Oh, great. Then we'll have three motions.
Well, I think there's only one motion. We have two nominations and we need a formal motion then.
I would like to amend my motion. Lance as chair and Mr. Romberger as vice chair.
I second that.
Sounds like the motion's passed.
So there's been a motion and a second. Let's call the question.
I'm sorry, I'm being incompetent right now. Teach
We
me.
we need a vote. We need a vote on the motion.
And
So
I guess we need a vote on the motion. at this
there you
point.
go. So this is a fairly straightforward one, and you can just ask for a voice motion. Just say all those in favor, please say aye.
All those in favor of the two candidates?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Sounds like the ayes have it.
Great. Thank you very much. Sorry,
Congratulations.
Sorry, got a little muddy there. I'm not used to being the chair either.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you again, Lance, and Commissioner Romberger for agreeing to serve as our chair and vice chair. So I'll turn it over to our Chairman Shaw.
Okay, thank you very much. You'll extend to me the virtual gavel.
There you go. Where's my
Yeah.
arm? Yeah.
Right, so now we're back on item number 3, which we had reordered, right?
Correct.
The approval of the minutes of February 17th. Does anyone have any additions, amendments, comments, complaints about the minutes? Of course, I guess, do we have a quorum so we can pass these?
Absolutely. Well,
Okay.
we have to have unanimous from
Three,
the commissioners that were here. At
Right.
that meeting.
right, the 3 commissioners were actually here at that meeting. If we all agree, then it's unanimous and that'll do it, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay, any comments about the minutes, commissioners? Then I move that we approve the minutes February 17th. May I have a second?
Second,
Second,
Who was first?
Yeah, I missed the,
Mike,
Mike?
Mhm.
Okay, having a motion and a second, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes of February 17th, 2021, say aye.
aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Looks like the minutes are approved.
excellent. I did talk to Candace and our attorney, and there was no clear direction on what happens if we can't get a quorum on the minutes. So thankfully, we don't need to worry about it.
Oh, yeah, well, if we had changed
If
3 seats, we would be. in trouble.
Exactly.
The
I
minutes-
don't know what would
minutes
happen.
never
We
be
would just have,
approved. Yeah.
we just have draft minutes. I think that's what happens.
Just leave them draft, or we'd have to approve them administratively or something weird. I don't know.
point of order, are there abstentions that need to happen?
Yeah, I guess technically, Commissioners Reddy and Riley would officially
Abstain.
abstain.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just make a note of that in the minutes, in the notes for the minutes.
Right. And just to be clear for procedurally, the reason you're abstaining is because you weren't here when we had that meeting, right?
Right.
Well, you
Understood.
weren't seated anyway.
You weren't seated.
Right, I
right?
abstain for the reasons stated.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the point of order there. Public hearing item number 6, proposed text minutes regarding signs, continue from February 17th. Do you have any comments on this, John?
Yeah, sorry, I'm taking notes at the same time.
That's okay. The recording's on, right?
Correct. I believe it's working this time.
We're good. all right.
We're gonna miss having Rosa if we have a lot of complex changes. So just a quick update. I'm flipping over to my staff report. Just a quick update. This is a public hearing, and this is a continued item from last month's meeting. And we are still officially in a public hearing once we reopen it like we did today. There were 3 issues that I took notes on last time that the commissioner wanted us to report back on. One was rotating barber poles, and the other was a question of how we treat signs inside of a building, inside the glass, for example, of Paul and Jerry's.
Yeah.
And then the third question that came up was, how do we address holiday lights? Is there anything in the code? And I believe I found answers to all those questions. I did modify the red line version of the text regarding barber poles. I added a definition for barber pole, and then I added under prohibited signs, we had a prohibition against any moving signs. And then I amended that to include with the exception of barber poles. So if that's something the commission does want to include as allowable type of sign, I also did get out and measure the existing one single barber pole that we have. I don't think we're going to get a rush of new barber poles, but we do have one barber pole, and it does meet all of our criteria for a projecting sign. It is 8 feet above the sidewalk, and it is well below the minimum size, overall size that's allowed for a sign. In terms of internal signs, in the past, we have not regulated signs that are internal to a building. And I did add language specifically under 509D1 that says signs not permanently affixed to a window and located entirely within a closed building. So that's different from, for example, Raku has signs on their property that are on the building on the outside. They are on their property. Those signs would be counted if they're permanent signs, they would be counted. But if they had a sign inside the window that said, sale, open, everything 50% off, that would not be counted under our sign ordinance unless it was a permanent sign. As compared to the Jerome Heritage Shop, they had a sign, a projecting sign, and then they also have a permanent sign on their window itself, which is inside the building, but it is a permanent sign on the building. So hopefully that language clarifies. I think the question or concern is the temporary signs. Do you want to wait till I'm done, or do you want to go ahead and ask questions now? It's up to you. It's up to the commission. However you want to handle it, Chair Scholl.
Oh, no, I'm good to keep going. I'm taking copious notes.
Okay.
I'm good.
So if you don't mind, Commissioner Harvey, I'll just finish and then we'll go back. And then the last question that came up was regarding holiday lights. There's nothing in our town code or zoning ordinance that does address holiday lights. Some people refer to them, of course, as Christmas lights. In Jerome, we have things like skeletons and other holiday type decorations. The only town that I came across in the Verde Valley that does have any sort of restriction or prohibition against continued 24/7, 365 holiday lights is, of course, Sedona. They do have a restriction that holiday lights have to be taken down after, I can't remember what the time period is, but a certain number of days after the holiday. And the only thing that we do have regarding holiday lights, and it's enforced by our fire chief, is regarding temporary wiring in the fire code. And I included an excerpt from the code out of that, included an excerpt from the fire code in the staff report. So temporary wiring is a concern, especially here in the winter, when you've got those things potentially just sitting out. If they were sitting out, for long periods of time, they could potentially, create a fire hazard. So our fire chief does enforce that after Christmas, making sure everybody takes down their holiday lights approximately 90 days, less than 90 days after Christmas. So those were the 3 things that I had in my notes that the commission asked me to report back on, and I'll hand it back to you, Chair Scholl, if you and if the commission has any questions, comments, etc. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any questions about that. It was the barber pole thing was my idea, so of course I like that change. And seeing as we don't have any other comments from the public, no one else is here. Do the commissioners have any more input and discussion on these 3 amendments particularly?
One thing that hasn't, sorry about that.
Sorry.
One
Go
thing
ahead,
that's not an
Commissioner.
issue yet, Mooey Christmas, if they want to have Christmas lights up all year, can we make an exception for them? They haven't so far, so no big deal, but seems like they should be allowed to.
The,
Yeah,
yeah,
But
the only,
again, to make one exception is kind of,
yeah, right. I don't know. As long as they're inside, maybe you're okay.
yeah,
Go ahead,
so it's not a
Commissioner Harvey.
problem.
Yeah, go ahead,
And-
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you. The last time I heard this addressed, and it has to do with lights inside of stores. The only concern that we had was that it was not a traffic threat. Beyond that, there weren't any suggestions I heard for a solution other than that. The rest of it sounds fine, to include the barber pole.
Oh, sounds good to me. I guess at movie Christmas, as long as they hang the lights inside, they're okay. They can put them like in the window, but inside the building, I guess nobody'd notice. Commissioner Reddy, you had a comment?
I just had a comment about some of the proposed new language. It's just a couple minor things within the text of the language of the revised ordinance. And I did call John earlier today and just kind of ask him, because I was not clear on whether I was reading this right, or, you know, whether maybe I was missing something, but specifically under section E, regulations regarding signs, and then below that under number 11 for flags.
E11?
Yes. So that's E11.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, John just pulled that up.
Yeah, flags.
so this section under flags, I was trying to see if I could highlight the text. I can't highlight it right here, but this section under flags, I think, is a section that we talked about. Commissioner Riley, do you want to just explain your thoughts on that?
Yes, towards the end of the paragraph, after we designate the square footage of the sign, and it says the height, or the flag, I'm sorry, the height of the flag shall be no taller than any building located on the same property.
Right here.
Well, to me, that says that your flag can't be erected any higher than your shortest structure. So, I mean, conceivably, you could have a 2-story house with a 1-story shed. And I just see some area for confusion on what we really mean. My interpretation of our intent is that we don't want the flag to be higher than the tallest structure on the same property.
Yeah, I see your point. That's a good call. Wouldn't want somebody saying, well, listen, your flag is taller than your woodshed.
Right,
Um,
right,
When we
exactly.
really,
It's like,
when we really mean your house.
it's
Yeah,
confusing. So there was some other language later in this ordinance that actually, to me, seemed to fit that better, where we say something like, the height of the flag shall not extend past the height of the building it's attached to. You know, where it's related to the structure it's actually being affixed to.
Yeah, that sounds like better wording. Can you make that change, John?
Absolutely. So what Commissioner Reddy and I discussed was removing the text that says any building located on the same property and replacing it with the flag shall be no taller than the building to which it is attached.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So if you have a 3-story building, you can put a flag on it as long as it's below the height of the roof. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you have a chicken shed and you want to put a flag on that, you can be no higher than your chicken coop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that seems to reflect better what I see as the intent of this particular paragraph. So,
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah, I think that sounds great, much more direct. There was one just very minor typo. Sorry, y'all. I'm kind
Oops.
of one of those. I find all the little typos everywhere.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, that's
I
okay as
tried
long
to
as you don't,
pull it
yeah, as
up.
long as you don't bore us to death. That's fine.
It's just, yeah, it's just one minor little thing. And actually, I'm pretty impressed with the ordinances. They're all in pretty good shape, honestly. I couldn't find too many problems. Go below that paragraph to paragraph F.
I've got it up on the screen here.
Yeah, and then when you go down to the new section D, where it says the maximum height of a temporary sign, I think that's supposed to be is 4 feet, but it says if 4 feet.
Yeah, right.
So the maximum height of a temporary sign is 4 feet, is what it should say, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good catch.
Okay. But otherwise, everything else looked fine to me. So that's
Okay.
all my
All
input.
right, sounds good. Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Harvey?
Have we addressed flagpoles at all? Or is this just attached to a building?
We do allow flagpoles. There's a separate section in the ordinance, and it regulates that your flagpole can be, if it falls, basically, it has to be located and falls within the same lot. So if you have a 20-foot tall flagpole, I can't remember the maximum size, but if you have a 20-foot tall flagpole, you can't have it 5 feet from the street. It has to be 20 feet back.
20 feet from the street. And that Commissioner Harvey, that comes from our antenna ordinance, right? If you have,
Right.
if you have a ham radio antenna, same thing. Antenna can't fall outside your property.
Thank you. By the way, Jeannie, good catch.
Thanks.
Okay. So
I
any more,
appreciate that.
any more issues, questions, concerns? From the
Can I
commission?
just get a clarification then? A flagpole can actually be taller than the building on the property, but if it's attached to the building, it can't be taller than the building.
Right.
Okay,
I would have to double check the ordinance. We looked at it last time. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think,
But yes,
yeah, the flagpole ordinance just says it has to fall inside your property. So if you had a 20-foot tall house, but a 25-foot pole, that's fine, as long
Mhm.
as the pole fall over inside your property. And that, just like a ham radio antenna, generally your radio antenna is taller than your structure. That's typically the way you do it.
I'll see if I can pull it up while we're chatting here.
Yeah, okay. So John, what do you need from us on this public hearing and discussion of the ordinance and revisions? I think, sounds like the commissioners are happy with the changes in general, and you made the correction to the typo and so forth.
Yeah, if the changes are acceptable, we need a motion to include those changes. And then
Okay.
I have included resolution for your.
Right, you've designated 2021-03, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, flipping back and forth, but 2021-03.
Right.
You can adopt that resolution with the changes that were discussed earlier, the typo changing if to is, and then
Right.
on flags changing the building to which it is attached, as was discussed.
Yeah, okay, no, that
If
sounds,
that's acceptable. if
yeah,
that's
that's
acceptable.
what I was getting ready to do. So I would move that we adopt resolution 2021-03 as amended for our conversation this evening. I'll entertain a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you very much. Having a motion and a second, any further discussion, conversation? This is your last chance.
Hmm.
I will call the question, and all in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Looks like the motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, give me just a second.
Okay, we'll pause.
I forget that I'm also the minutes clerk tonight. Help me out. Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Lance,
Okay.
Yeah, I made the motion and Commissioner Reddy, you seconded.
Thank you very much. And unanimous.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. So,
Okay, are you ready?
yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, item number 7, updates of recent and upcoming meetings. John Knight, zoning administrator. John, you're up again.
Thank you very much. So in March, we had a design review board meeting, a couple of minor items. We did get approval from the design review board for changes in colors and signage at the building where Grapes is. That actually includes the t-shirt shop, Coppertown T-shirts, I think it's called, Coppertown Coffee and Grapes. So they're going to be updating the color scheme and updating the signs on that. On the Nellie Bly, they're replacing the upper story. They're actually doors, if you look at them closely, above Nellie Bly and what used to be, may still be Nellie Bly 2. They're replacing those doors that are wood doors to nowhere. They will be replacing them with wood windows.
Yes, I'm recalling the doors. They're just gonna replace like with like?
Yeah, except it'll be a window instead of a door. And
Right, right.
they've done a, just a comment on that. The owners there have done a fantastic job really improving that building. For people who've been here a long time, they might remember that it didn't used to look anywhere near as nice as it looks now. And they're continuing to improve it. And then there was a new pergola structure that we weren't sure exactly what a pergola was when it was first presented. Is it a structure? Is it a landscape feature? We determined that it doesn't need a building permit, so it didn't qualify as a structure. And that pergola was essentially a landscape feature, but did need design review. So a new pergola structure was approved for our Mayor Jack Dillenberg at 700 Holly. On March 9th, we had a council meeting, and we had an appointment of one of our new commissioners, Lori Riley. Previous commissioner was appointed. Our other commissioner, Jeannie Reddy, was appointed at the previous meeting. And they were reviewing the first review. They did start the first review. The time I wrote this agenda, I didn't know where we were headed with that, but they did start the first review of the administrative approval of small projects, which is both the administrative approval of small projects as well as updating the appeals process. They did table that item, so that got pulled off the agenda. There was discussion about postponing that until we finished the design guidelines, which probably won't be finished till September or October. So it's going to be a while before that goes back. There was Dr. Dillenberg had added an item to the agenda regarding updating or creating ordinance to address tiny homes. There's obviously a huge trend in United States and probably throughout the world to allow for smaller, more affordable housing types. And that was pulled off the agenda, or sorry, that was not pulled off the agenda. That didn't go forward. So we're going to be setting that aside for now. There were some discussions about Hotel Jerome and seeing if we could move that forward. That is seen as a great place to create some affordable housing. So if that's something the commissioner is interested in, you might want to watch the next few council agendas as we hopefully move forward on that. A lot of discussion about bees lately, and just another update on that. We did recently get a proposal from a gentleman, Patrick Pines, who is a local bee expert. We were affectionately calling him the bee whisperer. And he is going to help us discern the difference between our problem bees, which we believe are primarily our Africanized, so-called Africanized honeybees, as compared to our typically more docile European honeybees. So he's going to do some research for us, and he's actually planning on coming down the next couple of weeks. And we're going to do some research and hopefully figure out if there's anything we can do to help mitigate the bee problem.
Well, that sounds interesting. Did the town hire him to come by and do a survey for us, or what?
He just sent me the proposal today. I don't know if it's been signed or not. I know that went to our town manager, Candace Gallagher, and he said he needs to have some days over 70 degrees. So hopefully next couple of weeks, we'll get a few days that are over 70 degrees that we can get them up here. Apparently we need good sunny days for the bees.
For the bees to be out, huh?
To be out and active.
I'll be interested to see what he comes up with. I mean, I didn't have a bee problem last year, but I had too many wasps.
So now we need to hire a wasp whisperer as well.
Yeah, there you go.
So that'll be interesting. I'm real curious to see what happens with the bees. I know many of our business owners, I think some of our visitors, and quite a few of our residents have been really having trouble with bees being so-called aggressive bees. So we'll see if we can find out a little bit more about that. And we also discussed the possibility of moving forward on a telecommunications ordinance. And I was hopeful that that would come back to our Planning and Zoning Commission at this meeting, but our council wasn't quite ready to move forward with that. So that was tabled to the next meeting as well. So just jumping quickly to item number 8, I don't currently have anything scheduled for the April 21st meeting. So nothing on the agenda at this point. I suspect we will have something by that point. we may make some progress on some of these other ordinance amendments and big projects and do a study session, but we don't have any public hearings scheduled, and I don't have any items, formal items submitted.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
Is
you.
is the Mexican pool project moving along?
They're about 50% chance that they'll be on the next agenda for discussion.
Okay, sounds fun. In the clubhouse, they're still working?
And going back to the Mexican pool for a second, they are working on their project, and they've asked to do a conceptual review. Most people are interested in doing a one and done, sort of like getting a COVID shot. A lot of people would rather have the Johnson & Johnson version, but these guys are interested in doing conceptual review on the Mexican pool. So we
Okay.
might have something come before us in April. And then I haven't heard anything from the new owner of the clubhouse. I was looking for something else today, and I noticed that it has been sold. The previous owner, I believe, has sold it. So new
Yeah.
owner has it. I just haven't heard anything from them yet.
Yeah, I don't know if anything will happen for P&Z's concern there, because we approved parking and a fire escape before, and as long as they keep that the same, P&Z probably won't have to look at it again. I was just curious to see if anything's going on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sounds good.
That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, John. So you've covered item 8 for me, so I'll go ahead and move on to item number 9. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
No, you have to make a motion. If I
Oh.
make a motion, you can second. If I entertain, then
See,
you
I'm
have.
still learning.
Did we get a motion there? I don't know what happened.
Anyway, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
Was
I
that
move
for,
that we adjourn.
there we
Okay.
go.
There you go. So would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. I will call the question. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Looks like we're adjourned.
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye-bye.